India, and of course, some of my former and present students here from the States, along with some former students of mine and now top executives here in the States as well. Thank you for taking the time to attend this. To some of you, some of the information that I will share today may be known, and you probably have applied it, and I hope it won't be boring. However, I guarantee you, you will see some new methodologies and new techniques that I've been applying throughout the years. Today's topic, as you already know, is organizational management. And the objective of this course is to show you how to transform your operational style from that of the traditional manager to an inspirational leader. I will be comparing soon enough the management attributes to a leader's attributes, but basically that's the main objective. More specifically, what I would like to do is share with you some unusual operational methodologies that I've applied and have been tested, and they've been proven to be very successful. For the record, I will not cover traditional management techniques. You already know them. You can go to any management book and get them. I'll try to show you something different. Our goal for you is to learn how such operational methodologies will definitely improve your efficiency, effectiveness, productivity, and bottom line called profits. We'll have the chance to explain efficiency and effectiveness because some people believe that they're interchangeable terms, but they're not. As I stated, some of them are very unique, and even people and companies that I go to here in the States as a consultant don't even know them, and I haven't seen them. I'll share some of them with you. Somebody that I've been following all my life was a philosopher called Socrates, and he said back then, 400 BC, I cannot teach you anything. I can only offer you options, make you think, ask questions, and what you do with it, it's up to you. Basically, I apply the same methodology. I cannot tell you what to do, but I'll share a few things with you, and you either like them, adopt them, discard them, or whatsoever. You are the boss. Now, an advisable methodology that I follow is depicted in this schematic. It is the what, why, who, where, when, and how. Today, we will only be addressing, or mainly we'll be addressing the what, why, and how. In 4 sessions, we'll address the rest of them. But mainly the what is what we'll be addressing. Excuse me. Well, you already know, you've been in business, you operate your own business, you're owners, managers, and you know that companies have departments like operations, finance, production, marketing, research and development, to mention a few. And whatever I'll discuss today with you applies to any and all components of any business, whether you have a for-profit, non-for-profit, a service, manufacturing, or mixed, whatever the case may be, these principles are applicable. Oops, let me admit one more person. There's Nsiki. Oh, Central Africa from Nsiki and Coco. Okay. Well, let's dive into the operational methodology that I mentioned earlier. Okay. Oops, what's going on here? Now, the question that I usually pose is, do you want to be a manager or an inspirational leader? And we'll explore that. Okay. As a matter of fact, let's go into who is a manager. What does a manager do? Managers usually perform 4 functions. They plan, they organize, they direct, and control resources in order to achieve operational objectives. I realize, I hope that you all understand what that means, but since I have some students from Azerbaijan who are first-year students, you plan the activities, organize the things that you need to do, the processes, the materials, equipment, the raw materials and everything else. Then you direct people what to do, and you control so you have the proper output. That's what planning, organizing, directing, and controlling actually mean. And that is what managers mainly do. I'm not saying that that's all they're doing, but mainly these are the functions that they perform. On the other hand, however, leaders, and this is a definition, by the way, that I've developed, are charismatic people. Leaders have a charisma. Oops, another person is coming in. Okay, leaders have a charisma, the artistic charisma, to influence others, to follow them willingly in doing something positive. I hope you're following the terms that I would like to emphasize here. Artistic charisma, to influence or persuade others. A manager will force you, will say either you do this or else. Your paycheck depends on what I'm telling you to do. Leaders don't do that. Leaders influence people to follow them willingly. Now, let me stay there for a moment, because many, whenever I've presented this before, many have told me, well, what happens with negative leaders if leadership has a positive connotation? Well, my friends, I call those people, oops, yeah, somebody else. Sorry, folks, I have to admit people as they come in. So what happens with negative leaders? If Mr. Kalaras, if leadership has only a positive connotation, what goes on with negative leaders? Well, those folks I've called bleeders, because the so-called negative leaders will take everything you have and they will let you die in a pool of your own blood. The negative leaders that come to mind, and I don't even want to mention names at this point, basically will do exactly that, where a true leader will take you on his or her shoulders and lift you higher than them, and they'll be delighted to see you succeed. So basically, these are the differences between, the main differences between managers and leaders. Now that we clarified the difference between managers and leaders, let's go into the specific methodologies, the operational methodologies, as I said before. Well, the first thing that we did was clarifying or differentiating between leaders and managers. The next thing that I feel is of vital importance is building trust in the workplace. It is critical. It's not just important, it is essential. Folks, let me just say this. It is so unfortunate, and I've seen this, and I bet you have seen this, that we trust people that we don't even know. For instance, when we take a taxi, we trust a driver with our life to take us from place A to place B, knowing absolutely nothing about that driver, and still we trust them. When we take the elevator to go from ground floor, let's say, to floor 5 or 10, we trust the engineer who last repaired that elevator, and we know nothing about him. Isn't it ironic? You follow me? Okay. We drive, and whenever we have green light, we go through an intersection, trusting that the person, the city employee who fixed and arranged the lights, the other side has red, and we trust them with our lives. And we don't trust them, and we don't trust our employees. See what happens here. Security guards are at the exit of this company, and they are checking people to see if they have stolen anything. Look at this one. I hope you can see here, my cursor shows the badge of this person who is the security, and he's checking that lady's purse to see if she has taken anything from the business. To me, that's a disgrace. Instead of saying to the people, thank you for spending 8 hours with me, with my company, thank you for making me successful, we're saying basically, you're a thief. or indirectly, okay? So building trust in the workplace is critically important. As a matter of fact, I've come up with an acronym for trust. And if you just take the word vertically, the word trust, it is a true test of reliability under severe tension. In my view, that's what trust is, okay? And the question that I ask these people when I go to do consulting, do you trust your people? Do they trust you? So is there trust in the workplace? Again, as it shows there, it's vital. Well, the next topic that we'll address, item number 3, is the commitment. Are you committed to your company? Are your employees committed to the mission of the company? How committed are you? And some of you may know, I know some former students of mine have seen this, but for the ones who haven't, some of you probably know the story of the pig and the chicken. The pig and the chicken says, we're walking down the street one day, and they see a restaurant that had lines of people and a sign on the windows, ham and eggs special. So the chicken now says to the pig, hey, buddy, we can start our own business. We can become rich ourselves. Might as well, let's start a business. And the pig says, oh, no, buddy, don't you trust me? You know me for so long. Yes, I do trust you, but here's the difference, my friend. The pig says, you're going to be a participant. I'll be committed. You will just be laying an egg, but I have to give part of my body to make the ham or the bacon or whatsoever. Of course, this is only a metaphor that I'm using, but I just want to stress the importance of commitment. Make the commitment to serve the company. Make the commitment to serve employees. Actually, something that we'll discuss in a follow-up topic, I ask people in my presentations, do you folks know what CEO means? And of course, everybody knows that CEO means Chief Executive Officer. Now I will show you how commitment comes into that CEO acronym. In my view, folks, C stands for customer, E stands for employees, and O stands for owner. And that is the importance of operation that I follow. Clients first, employees next, and I am at the bottom of the hierarchy. Clients, employees, owner. Commit to serving both of them. Okay, let's try to move on now to another topic. How do we handle complaints in business? Unfortunately enough, most people don't realize the importance of complaints. Whenever they see a complaint, they say, go fix it. As a matter of fact, see what this owner, the CEO right here, you see my cursor? The CEO and president, basically, whose phone is ringing off the hook, as you can tell, with complaints, basically says, I don't want to hear any more complaints. He calls the manager over and says, go fix them. Go take care of them. And the poor guy, to keep his job, says, yes, boss, no problem. I'll manage. Not realizing that complaints, as I say there, are blessings from the sky. The person who complains still cares about your company and is giving you another chance to either fix it or else. As it says there, complaints are blessings from the sky. Complaints are free consulting, telling you what to fix and where. Well, let's try to move to usefulness. And I hope, folks, you realize that all I'm trying to do right now, because this is an introductory session, is just touch on these topics. We can always elaborate more at a later time, okay? So now, are we making our people's work useful, challenging, important, or do we treat them as robots and we say, just do it, don't ask questions? Actually, at this point, I'd like to share with you a short story. I was invited to go to a company and do some consulting. They were having all the different types of problems. And when I arrived to the company, I gave my ID to the gate, the person that was securing the gate. And while I was waiting for him to clear me to drive in, on the right-hand side, on the wall, I saw a sign, and this is a true story, folks. Listen to this. I saw a sign that said, "To all employees, leave your brains here. Will be returned to you at 5 p.m." And I said, oh no, do I really want to go into this company when it has that type of mentality? Oops, 1 second. Admit somebody else, okay? So when I saw that, I almost panicked. I didn't even want to go in, but I had already committed to talk to the CEO. Needless to say that was the very first thing that I negotiated with them. And by the time I finished that day, in the way out, I took a look and that sign was down. So usefulness, how useful do we make our people's lives and work? And here's an example that I usually present to my attendees. I ask them, does anybody have a 2-3-year-old child? And of course, somebody always does, either a grandchild or a child, okay? And I say, okay, let's presume for a moment that in this child's playroom, we place a $10,000 gold watch, do you see it on the left-hand side? And a $1 toy on the other side. And then I ask, what do you think that the kid will take? The $10,000 watch or the $1 toy? And it's obvious that the child will take the $1 toy. Why? Because that's useful. $10,000 means nothing. A watch means nothing to the child. I hope you are following the metaphor here. Are we making our people's lives useful? Do we show them how useful they are in the company? Okay, so that's important for you managers or leaders to do that. Look at this again. Okay, $10,000 watch goes, but the toy is what the child wants. Okay. Now we're going to enter another area, folks, a very important area that, again, I believe that some of you have never seen before. And I've developed that in the last 8-10 years or so. I trust that my former students know this and apply this all the time, but I'll share with all of you anyway. How do we appoint supervisors or managers? Okay, usually what happens is the following. A manager, let's assume that a manager has 20, 25 employees, and now that manager has to assign schedules, do time cards, payroll, give them any and all assignments, possibly resolve any conflicts, possibly resolve any harassment situations, and he or she does it all. And one day that manager says, you know what, I have too much on my plate. I need somebody, I need an assistant manager. I need a supervisor who knows their job and I trust him or her enough. So what do? They go on and they pick the person that they like, they trust, they know that he or she knows the job. They call him to the office and they say, well, from now on, I'm going to give you a little raise and you're going to be a supervisor. And in this example, because I have students from Azerbaijan, I've selected the name Ali is the manager of the department with the 20 people. And Ali, oops, another person's coming in. And Ali now appoints Amar as the supervisor of the department. Remember, Ali, the manager, has 20-some people to manage. Because it's overwhelming, he appoints Amar as the supervisor. Now, next day, he walks up to the work floor and says, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? From now on, Amar is your supervisor. Any problems, any questions, direct them to Amar and he'll bring them to me. Now, some people will accept that, but isn't it true that some of them might say, why Amar and not me? But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, here's the main issue that I think that companies are not addressing by following this approach. If next day there is conflict on the floor, what does Amar, the supervisor, know about resolving conflict? Not much. Basically, what he's been following or seeing throughout the years, right? Now, if there is some type of a harassment allegation, what does he know on how to handle harassment allegations? Not much. So I hope you realize the problem. And of course, some people may not even like Amar and may not even trust Amar or want Amar to be their supervisor. Okay. To emphasize what I'm showing you thus far, and I'll get to the solution of this. On this one, I will definitely apply the how and why, okay? Basically, what I'm saying is you don't take a person who does not know how to swim and throw him in the deep end of a pool and say, we'll show you how to swim tomorrow. That's absurd, okay? You don't take a person, a firefighter, on the first day of the job and say, go put out a fire. We don't take a doctor who just graduated or completed his or her practice and say, go on, perform a surgery. And by the same token, we don't take a policeman and say, go put out a riot out there. We train them and we put them there after a while. So back to the issue now. The way to resolve Ali's problem with Amar, basically what I propose, folks, is the following. I propose a qualifications training, which means Ali, the manager, goes to the 20 people and says, ladies and gentlemen, I need a supervisor. I need somebody to handle the daily activities. We have a process of training whoever wants to be a supervisor. It will take a couple of weeks of training. And if you pass it successfully, then I will appoint a supervisor. And let's say now that 3 people applied for that. So now you have 3 people going through the training. And now you have an eligibility list, so you got 3 people eligible. You can still appoint Amar, who has gone, of course, through the training, as your supervisor if you want. But look at the benefits now. First of all, Amar now is trained. He knows how to handle conflict. He knows how to handle almost everything as a supervisor. And most importantly, you also have, let's say, 3 people went through this training. You also have 2 other people to either give Amar a day off, or if they need a supervisor in another department, you've got 2 other people already trained. I hope you realize the importance of what I propose with the qualifications training, eligibility list, prepare the people, and then appoint them. I think that if the manager applies this technique, Amar will be very much accepted by the remaining 19 people in the job. So now you have Amar, Samir, and these are the names, okay, that they. Now, next topic. I hope you like, by the way, what I just shared with you about appointing supervisors, okay? Now, rewarding people. You'll be surprised how many companies don't even have any rewards for their people. They just ask them to go in and day out, do their job, pay them a paycheck, and that's the end of it. However, what they don't realize is, and you're going to see this later, but I'll say it up front, things that are rewarded and appreciated get done. People who are rewarded and appreciated get things done. Reward your people. And you don't even have to spend a lot of money, sometimes even no money. Actually, at the end, I will ask you to email me if you want, and I do have a list of about 54 different rewards. 50 out of the 54 require no money, but people are delighted to receive any of those rewards, non-monetary rewards, okay? So you don't necessarily have to spend money to make your people, to inspire your people and make them feel good by giving them rewards, okay? And of course, the question that I ask is, how many reward options does your company have? And most importantly, how attainable are they? Because some companies have rewards, but they are like this. They're not attainable. So it makes no sense. And what I said before is listed now in the lower part of my screen. But I'll repeat, I think it's a very profound statement. Things that are rewarded and appreciated get done. People who are rewarded and appreciated get things done. So developing, having, and implementing a rewarding system is critical to any business. And now there's another favorite topic of mine. I mean, all of them are favorite, but this one, I have a little innovation or discovery there. Time management. Take any management book. You're going to see all the different types of chapters, and many universities have courses on time management. Perform good time management, manage your time effectively, manage your time well. Everybody screams, from professors to managers and everybody else. Well, folks, you're going to find me having a different opinion on time management, and I'm delighted you're here today so I can share that with you. It is indeed time management. Time in general is the most crucial and valuable resource. Everyone says apply it effectively, apply effective time management. However, in my view, that is a misconception. And please bear with me so I can explain. Isn't it true, folks, that time is a given commodity? We only have 24 hours in a day. Time is fixed. You cannot change or manage something that is fixed. Here, my wall is fixed. I cannot do much about it. Okay, that's fixed. What we don't understand, and we misrepresent it as time management, is the tasks, excuse me, that we perform within the time allowed. So what others call time management, I call it task management. Sorry. Excuse me. So instead of time management, I call it, as I said, task management, because you can manage the tasks. You can prioritize which tasks you will do, when, and so on, but you cannot control time. You can control the things that you do within the time given. And we'll talk about balance next, and that relates to time. So again, I don't go for time management, I go for task management. Well, the ones who have studied quality will probably know these three terms. And I know that my former students had fun when they were talking about, and I'll explain, the must-be's, the more the better, and the delighters. Let me just explain now. This is another innovative topic. With everything we do, let's say that we're making suits, we're making widgets. It doesn't matter what you're making, what you're buying and selling, or whatsoever. With everything we deal with in a business, there are elements that must be there. In other words, a suit must have buttons, pockets, a zipper, lining, shoulder pads, and those things must be there. Otherwise, the suit is a defect. So these are the minimum things that should be. And of course, with every product or service we provide, again, we have minimum things that we offer. Now, the more the better is an elevated step, which says basically, the more you offer of something, the better off you are, but within reason. I travel a lot, as many of you know, and I've been to hotels where the towel is so thin you can almost see through, believe it or not. And I've seen in other places, towels are really thick and nice. You feel comfortable drying yourself after a bath or a shower. Now, I'm not saying that you should have a blanket as a towel, but the thicker the towel, the better you are within reason. You don't want a blanket for a towel. You want a nice, thick towel. When you, going back to the suits, for instance, many suits, they just have the minimum, the must be, and they sell them like that. But with some, I don't know if I have mine here. Yeah, as you can tell, on the inside here, there are buttons, okay? Why? Because they have about 3 or 4 different buttons in case you lose one. So you have an identical button to replace the lost button. So the more buttons they have, the better off you are. But again, you don't want 50 buttons on the inside of your jacket, okay? Shoulder pads on a jacket. You don't want to, oops, let's admit another one. You don't want shoulder pads to make you look like a football player, but again, by the same token, you don't want really thin ones to show that you have slouchy shoulders. You don't want to be adequate. The more, the better. But the area where you can definitely differentiate yourselves, folks, is the delighters. Delighters are things that the customer does not expect, but is delighted to see or receive. Here's an example. You go to a restaurant with your family, and after you go there 2 or 3 times, of course, at the end, the waiter or the waitress brings the check. You ask for the check at the end. But after the 3rd time, speaking of delighters, the waiter says, well, folks, the manager has noticed that you have been here so many times, so he would like to buy you a dessert. Now you're delighted. You didn't expect that, okay? Now, you enjoy your dessert, you pay the bill, and you go. Next time that you go out, isn't it true that that act will be in your mind, and you'll say, well, let's go back to that same restaurant because we may get free dessert, okay? Now, follow me for a second. Let's say that the 2nd time you get free dessert also. Now, the 3rd time that you go out, you'll definitely go there because you expect the free dessert, which now means the restaurant basically will be losing money because you will probably order less food because you know that a dessert is coming. So now the restaurant is losing from the dessert and from selling less food. That is why I say it is the manager's responsibility to identify a delighter, but change them over time. Today's delighters become tomorrow's expectations. Keep that in mind. So you should identify different delighters. Back to the example of the family and the restaurant, the 2nd time or the 3rd time, you may offer them a coupon instead of dessert. They're not going to be disappointed. They still got something that they never expected. So must be the minimum requirements that every product or service should have. The more, the better. The more you have, the better off you are within reason. And then the delighters, which are elements that the customer does not expect, but is delighted to see. And today's delighters become tomorrow's expectations. I hope you liked the concept. Well, now we're going to move on to another concept, the loyal clients. I'll present what I just said graphically. The must-be's are down here, all the way at the bottom. If this is a quadrant that shows your performance, the must-be are all the way down the bottom. The more, the better, rise up. But finally, the delighters are all the way on top. And the ones who follow the quality chain or model have seen this in a different way. In any event, another area, ladies and gentlemen, that is of critical importance is engagement. How do we engage our people to what we are doing? Engagement is critical. You probably know a global organization called Gallup, Gallup, Gallup organization, whose results I shamelessly copied for your information here, and I'm sharing with you. Now, engagement usually comes in 2 formats, mentally and physically. To explain mental engagement, let me remind you of TV games that we watch, like the Wheel of Fortune, okay? Or Trochostis Tichis in Greek, for the ones who are following from Greece now. Now, when you watch that game, you participate mentally and you want to play along with the players and the actors of the game. And that's mental engagement. Obviously, physically, I don't need to explain. It's doing something by participating and doing it by hand. Okay. Now, Gallup, as I said before, identified 3 categories of people. They said that they researched thousands of companies around the world, by the way, not only in America. And they said, we found people who are engaged, we found people who are disengaged, and people who are actively disengaged. So 3 categories, okay? Now, the engaged ones are positive people. They're enthusiastic, they contribute, they participate, they're team players, they're always there, they're company people. The disengaged are the ones who are indifferent, they do minimal work, they're apathetic, they're there to do the job, they still do the job, collect a paycheck and go. They don't want to participate in any extra curricular activities. But the actively disengaged folks are the ones who are negative excuse me, about the business. They don't care about the business. And the first opportunity they find, boom, they're out of there. What is important here, though, is to see the percentages of how many people belong in each category. There's only 30% who are engaged. 50 are disengaged, and 20% are actively disengaged. That gives us, what, 70% of disengaged? And that's unfortunate. So as managers and inspirational leaders, it is your responsibility to identify ways to engage your people. So engagement is the game, okay? We're moving gloriously to the 11th item, the voice of the process. Does a process talk? Believe it or not, folks, loud and clear. Yes, it does. How? By observing it and identifying efficiencies and inefficiencies that incur in the process. And of course, it's your responsibility to harmonize all its elements. More specifically, you see right on top the initials IPO and SIPOC. IPO stands for input, process, and output, which is something that all companies do. Here, you have it in the lower part of the screen. Input, process, output. Since we used the suits before, input, materials, threads, needles is part of the input. The process, you measure, you cut the fabric, and output is the suit. So this is the process that we follow, okay? Now, voice of the process and voice of the customer. If you want to do things right in your business, folks, you need to go to the customer and get input from them. In other words, ask the customer, dear customer, what do you want? And if the requests are reasonable, you implement them. After the customer, you go to the supplier and you say, dear supplier, my direct customer, who is your indirect customer, wants A, B, C, and D, for instance. How can you possibly supply me the best way possible so I can put this into the input and process and ultimately satisfy my client? And folks, I want you to remember this. A satisfied customer is still looking, but a loyal client will never leave you. So through this model, where you have input, process, output, but you also bring in the customer and the supplier, you create an environment where most likely you'll have loyal clients. Next, we're going to do performance evaluations. All companies perform performance evaluations, do performance evaluations at least once a year. However, the question that I have for you is, how do you evaluate your employees? Are you evaluating them for growth and development, or are you evaluating them to justify the low pay raise that you're about to give them? Unfortunately enough, quite a few companies do this latter to justify their low raises. So basically, if you're doing that, you're doing things backwards, and it's very demotivating to see that, well, yeah, you've done well, but we don't have money to give you, so we'll give you only a 2% or 3% performance rating. Well, in my view, folks, that's wrong. And the solution is to distinguish between performance evaluations and pay promotion evaluations. And they should be 6 months apart. You do the performance in the beginning of the year, you set objectives and everything else, and then you do the pay or promotion evaluations 6 months later. Okay. Have 2 different performance evaluations, as we said, one for promotions, one for growth and development. We're coming towards the end with 3 more elements, if you can bear with me. And this one is about delegation or empowerment. Okay, well, do you delegate or do you empower? What's delegation? What's empowerment? Well, folks, delegation basically is ordering, telling people, dictating, you do this or else. I delegated, I order you, I told you what to do, okay? Where empowerment, on the other hand, is asking people, working together with people. Obviously, I'm not saying here that you should wake up tomorrow and say, oh, I went to a workshop with Dr. Kalaras and I learned about empowerment, so from now on, we all apply empowerment. No, it's not gonna work, it's gonna be a joke. Empowerment takes time to bring people, to train people, to get people feel confident, and you feel confident as a supervisor that your people can do it. And later on, instead of delegating or ordering, you're saying, let's say, Tom, in this case, I've trained you well enough. I think you can do the task. Go on and do it. And if you need a helping hand, I'll be here to help you. I'll be here to advise you if you need me. But I trust that you can do it. Do you realize the element that comes into play, that trust that we mentioned earlier today? Now the person feels more comfortable. Oh, my boss trusts me, and I'll try my best. Instead of, Tom, I want you to do A, B, C. And if you don't do them, I'll find somebody else who can. Do you realize the difference in mentality between the two, delegation and empowering? I hope you do, okay? So, training and education are the main elements before you start empowering people. All right, change is another element that I'd like to address today. And the idea here, folks, is how to implement change effectively. It is true, and I think you'll agree with me, that most people are reluctant to change. People don't like to change, at least most or some, okay? And here I have an example. See what the manager says from the podium. Who wants change? And everybody has their hands up. Do you see that? Now, wait until the manager asks a different question. Now, here the question is, who wants change? Okay, everybody wants change. But look at the next one. Who wants to change? Nobody raises their hand. So basically what people say, I'm fine with change, but I don't want to change, I want others to change. And that's not the proper mentality. We have a whole program on how to show people to welcome change and implement it effectively. As a matter of fact, we look into things that we do prior, during, and after the change. And it's a whole process here, okay? Of course, we provide feedback in all 3 stages, and then we show how the 3 stages perform and function, and that is the end of an old process, the transition to the new, and finally you have the new beginning. But again, this is oversimplified here. We need a whole day on how to implement change, and hopefully we'll have the chance to do it sometime in the future. Balance or harmony. Everybody says, have balance in your life. 8 hours of work, 8 hours family time, 8 hours sleep, harmonize. Have balance, have this. However, if you have to work more hours in a given day, who's going to lose? There goes your balance. Now you have an imbalance. Somebody wins and somebody loses. What I propose, folks, and here, look at this one. They didn't balance the load very well, did they? Okay. What I propose, folks, is harmony. Yes, I'll go for the 8 hours of work, 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours personal life, family life. But if you have to devote more time to your family on a given day, don't consider it that it's an imbalance. You'll manage that. Go for harmony. Balance has winners and losers. You balance, imbalance, or whatsoever. It's only a mental thinking here that I'm trying to propose, but it helps, and I've seen it in companies whenever I propose this concept. And finally, we're going to close with difficult people. And I think you have heard the expression, oh, this person is so difficult. I wish this person was not as difficult. I wish we didn't have that difficult people. Well, my friends, in my view, there are no difficult people. There are only different people. And once you find out what their differences are, which could be cultural, age, knowledge, gender, anything, language, ethnic, then you can manage. Once you learn where those changes come from, you can deal with them. In my view, there are no difficult people. There are only different people. And now, let me just close, because I think I've bored you enough. How much time have we? My God, almost an hour. Okay, let's close this by saying, speaking of time and life, folks, that I'm trying to improve for you today, I wish I could place an ad on every newspaper of the world or on the internet where under Lost and Found, it would say, yesterday, I lost a 24-hour, 24-karat golden day, where every hour was decorated with 60 diamond minutes, and every minute was decorated with 60 ruby seconds. But don't look for that day. That was yesterday. And my question for you is, what did you do yesterday? How did you manage your day yesterday to pave the way for a better day today and tomorrow for you, your loved ones, and for the community? Let me just close with this final thought. Since today is the first day for the rest of your life, make the commitment to take life seriously, fully realizing that time and life is not a game. Time, folks, is an Olympic decathlon. Ethically compete in it. It's God's gift, graciously accept it. It's a mystery, unfold it. It's an opportunity, take it. But it's a duty, proudly and responsibly perform it. But most importantly, folks, life is a marathon with an unknown finish line. And now that we had the Super Bowl a few days ago, life, in my view, is your Super Bowl. It's your championship, where there is no timeouts, no substitutions, no replays, and the clock never stops. Life is not a race to come in first, but one of dignity, ethics, and respect to do your best. Thank you, and God bless you. Let me just say a couple of final things here. No, Chris, allow me one more second. Go back. Peter, how goes it? Okay. On the last slide, let me just, okay, it's right here. If you found this useful, I'd like to gift you one of my books, and here's my email. Email me and say, Professor John, call me anything you want. I attended your presentation, and please send me an electronic version of your book, and I'll be delighted to send it to you. Here's my email. You can email me. Some of you already have it. Okay, and here is the book, Magnetic Charisma, the Inspirational Leader. I'll be delighted to send it to you as my gift for attending today's presentation. With that, I want to thank you for taking the time. And if you follow what we did, guess what's going to be flashing in front of you? Do you see my screen? Peter, do you see the screen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, there you go. Thank you again. Thank you for attending. And God bless you.
God bless you too, Doc. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for attending. Now we have a follow-up on the 25th. So, if you found this interesting and you still want to attend, be my guest. I'll be delighted to see you again. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Professor Oscar, how are you?
Hey, hi, Oscar.
It's been a while. Just wanted to verify with the people on the phone, the concepts that you taught has been personally involved in my future, my success. Obviously, not giving my age, but it's been a while sitting in your classrooms and continue driving some of the concepts that you just explained, and looking forward to the other two. But just wanted to say congratulations. Kind of refreshing all these years that you still have it. I still think the old Kalaras was the best because the way you didn't put up with, people being late in class and had those pop quiz. And I mean, it brings back a lot of good memories. And it was always been a blessing to sitting in your class and rushing at 7 a.m. to not be late because of the what you'll miss in 5 minutes of your lecture. And but I appreciate it now. And I do want to say and wish you a very happy birthday. It just happens to land on your
It's
day.
my birthday today, folks. So for the ones who don't know,
I'm assuming you're turning 28, 29, because you still
just
bring a
about
lot
there, yes. Proudly 77, my friends.
But I appreciate everything. I appreciate the invite. I'm going to definitely try to make the other two. And nice job keeping it up. So,
folks, let me just say this: Oscar is class of '96, so we're talking about what, 29 years now. However, yes, Yolanda.
Now, I was just going to say, John, from the southernmost tip of Africa, thank you for a very informative lecture. I was actually doing a module yesterday. I was developing something on leadership and management and the difference between the two for a project that I'm doing in the next 2 weeks. So thank you for reiterating that I'm on the right path.
Thank you.
Yes, to everybody online, you know what? I'm certain we all join in wishing Professor Kalaras a very happy birthday, John.
Thank you, Yolanda. Yolanda is in South Africa, by the way, so you folks know. I don't know if you can see on the screen, and Shiki is also there, and a couple of other people. We have people from my partner and my better, Luis Aguilar. His picture is right there too, from Vietnam this time.
Yeah, good job. Good lecture, Dr. Kalaras.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it. Yeah.
Let me just say a couple of things about Oscar, class of '96, as I was saying before. The guy, Oscar, I hope you don't mind me saying this. I had him in my class. First of all, he never missed any of my lectures. And he was coming to my class wintertime with holey shoes, if you know what I mean. The poor guy didn't have clothes to go to an interview when he graduated. I've been with him all along. And by now, he has elevated and succeeded so well in life. By the way, in the same category is Steve Unicas, whose name is up there too. By now, both Steve and Oscar are asked by companies to go and straighten them out. And basically the company says, here's your contract. Put any price you want, as long as you come to be with us for a while. That is the success that these people have developed and how well they did in life. Oscar, Stephen, and the rest of all of my students that are here today, God bless you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Oh, Stephen, by the way, Stephen was also a professor like myself. And when he was teaching at the Pole one year, he had to drop a course, and he goes to the dean and says, I have somebody to teach the course. He called me in last minute, and I went out and I taught the course that he would be teaching. So Stephen is not only a graduate, former student of mine, but also a colleague, an academic colleague as well. Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
All right, John. Thank you. Thank you again.
Bye-bye. Thank you for your comments.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Take care,
Yolanda.
everyone.
Yolanda, I'll send you the book right now since you're doing this project.
Thank you all. Thank you, Prof.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, this is Chris Wager. I want to thank everybody for coming today. We're going to end this video